China is gearing up for an invasion of Taiwan. That was the stark warning delivered by US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth in Singapore on May 31st as he made a keynote speech during the 2025 IISS Shangri-La Dialogue. Make no mistake about it, Hegseth is sounding the alarm. A Chinese invasion of Taiwan could be imminent. On Saturday, Hegseth joined many of his equivalent defense ministers from countries within the Indo-Pacific and Europe to deliver a keynote address on the state of the Indo-Pacific region. The US Defense Secretary used this opportunity to do two things: warn that China is planning to invade Taiwan and reassure America's Indo-Pacific partners that the US is ready to stand beside them when China transitions from building its military to actively using it. A report from AP News says that, according to Hegseth, the Chinese military is rehearsing for the real deal during the military drills it's been conducting around Taiwan over the last few years. "We are not going to sugarcoat it. The threat China poses is real," Hegseth said, "and it could be imminent." Hegseth added that China has moved away from building up its military forces in preparation for a fight with Taiwan. Now it's entered a new phase. The build-up is complete. China is now actively training for it every day when it comes to invading Taiwan. US Defense Secretary pointed to several exercises China has conducted in recent months that he believes were designed to emulate what a naval security blockade around Taiwan would look like. He was also quick to point out that the US has pledged to defend Taiwan, which is a self-governing island that technically isn't even formally recognized as a sovereign nation by the United States. Beijing is furious. In the wake of Hegseth's comments, China accused the US of trying to raise tensions in the Indo-Pacific. The Guardian reports that China responded by accusing Hegseth of attempting to sow division within Asia, seeming in an attempt to quell any rumors that a Taiwan invasion is imminent. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs released a statement on June 1st claiming that Hegseth's speech was filled with provocations and intended to sow division. It was also inaccurate, Beijing said. Hegseth deliberately ignored the call for peace and development by countries in the region, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, and instead touted the Cold War mentality for bloc confrontation, vilified China with defamatory allegations, and falsely called China a threat. The ministry also pushed back at claims Hegseth made that China is attempting to become a hegemonic power in the Indo-Pacific. "No country in the world deserves to be called a hegemonic power other than the US itself," the ministry roared, who is also the primary factor undermining the peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific. The ministry capped its statement off with a simple sentence: "China deplores and firmly opposes them and has protested strongly to the US." It concluded when speaking about Hegseth's remarks. China's fiery response was indicative of a conference where tensions between the US and China were clear from the off. In addition to the Chinese ministry's response, the vice president of China's National Defense University, Rear Admiral Hu Gangfeng, outright accused Hegseth of lying. "Some of the claims are completely fabricated, some distort facts, and some are cases of a thief crying, 'Stop thief,'" Gangfeng said at the conference. Though he didn't provide specific examples of the lies he claims Hegseth told, Gangfeng mirrored his country's ministry when speaking about the impact of the US Defense Secretary's statements. "These actions are nothing more than attempts to provoke trouble, incite division, and stir up confrontation to destabilize the Asia-Pacific region." It's also notable that China made the strange decision to send a lower-level delegation to the ISS Shangri-La Dialogue than it normally sends. AP News says that China's Defense Minister Dong Jun would normally attend such events. However, he chose not to in 2025. Likely as a direct snub of US President Donald Trump and his inflammatory tariff war with China. Hegseth pointed that out during the conference, stating, "We are here and somebody else isn't." He also used that fact to reinforce that the US is fully committed to protecting all of its allies in the Indo-Pacific, adding, "We're opening our arms to countries across the spectrum, traditional allies, non-traditional allies." As more, Hegseth didn't stop at accusing China of gearing up for an imminent invasion of Taiwan. He also rallied against the US adversarial actions in Latin America. Hegseth noted that he believes China is trying to increase its influence over the Panama Canal, likely as an attempt to disrupt the 5% of global trade, which includes 40% of the US's total container traffic, according to the International Institute for Strategic Studies that flows through the canal each year. The counter to this increased Chinese aggression, Hegseth claimed, is that "we must all do our part." The US Defense Secretary urged those at the conference to raise their defense spending to 5% of their gross domestic product, or GDP, in comments that mirror similar claims the US has made about its European allies, increasing their defense spending. Still, the headline here is that Hegseth has just